Assalamualaikum and hi. Today I am going to present science, technology and industrialization in the 19th century. Before I start my presentation, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Siti Nur Aina Najwa binti Muhammad Fazali. Without wasting any time, let's move to the main topic. First, we must know what is the meaning of century. Century is a period of 100 years that is used when stating a date. The 19th century began on January 1st, 1801 and it ended on December 31st, 1900. The 19th century also was known as the 9th century of the second millennium. During the 19th century, many things has happened such as the massive urbanization, social changes, and economic changes. Before I start on science in 19th century, let's take a look on the overview of the science and technology in 19th century. Since we already seen the video, I hope it will help you to have some ideas on what I am going to present today. Firstly, what is science? Science is a systematic enterprise that builds and organizes knowledge in the form of testable explanation and prediction about the universe. During the 19th century, the science was started to be seen as a profession. William Wilber has replaced the term of philosopher as scientist. So here are the science discovery in the 19th centuries. As we can see, there are a lot of science discovery that help us in our daily life today. For example, the atomic theory, Ohm's law, and periodic table. This is some of the famous scientists that contribute in science during the 19th century. First, here we got Charles Darwin. Charles Darwin was an English naturalist, geologist, and a biologist. He is famous due to his discovery of the theory of evolution by natural selection. The theory of evolution was outlined in Darwin's book, which is The Origin of Species. The main four components of the natural selection are variation, inheritance, rate of population growth, and differential survival and reproduction. Next is Louis Pasteur. Louis Pasteur is a French biologist, microbiologist, and a chemist. He is famous due to his discovery of first vaccine for rabies. He produced the vaccine for rabies by attenuating the virus in rabbits and subsequently harvesting it from their spinal cord. Apart from that, he also discovered the microbial fermentation and pasteurization. Due to his discovery, he is also known as the father of germ theory. Lastly, the famous scientist is J.J. Thomson. J.J. Thomson is a British physicist. He discovered electron, the first subatomic particle, in his investigation of cathode rays. Apart from that, he also revolutionized the knowledge of atomic structure. During the 19th centuries, it is clearly shown that the science had brought a lot of contribution to the society. The science in the 19th century had improved the life quality of people, for example, by creating the new technology. Apart from that, it also helped to monitor our health by the discovery of X-ray. The science also provided medicines to cure disease, and lastly, the new materials such as the liquid crystal also was discovered. Since we already finished with the science in 19th century, now let's move to the technology in 19th century. Technology is an application of scientific knowledge for practical purposes, especially in the industry. The technology was divided into two, which are soft technology and hard technology. Soft technology are flexible and empower creativity, while the hard technology is the tangible component that can be assembled into effective technology system. The example of soft technology is the knitting needle knitting needles, and for the hard technology is the computer. So these are some of technology that has been invented in the 19th century. These inventions are very famous like the steam engines by the George Stephenson, Stirling engines by Robert Stirling, telephone by Alexander Graham Bell, and remote control by Nikola Tesla. In addition, there are some famous people that contribute a lot in the technology in the 19th century. They are James Francis, Alexander Graham Bell, and Thomas Edison. James Francis is a hydraulic engineer. He is known as the inventor of the water turbine in 1849. He created the first water turbine by improving hot design by adding stationary guide vanes and shepherd blades so that the water could enter shock-free at the correct angle. Next is Alexander Graham Bell. Alexander Graham Bell is an engineer, scientist, and also a teacher of the deaf. His greatest invention was the telephone. The telephone that he had invented had two parts, which are the transmitter and the receiver. He was also the co-founder of American Telephone and Telegraph Company. Lastly is Thomas Edison. Thomas Edison is an American inventor. He invented incandescent light bulb. The light bulb that he has created will produce light when electrical current passes through the metal filament wire and heating to a high temperature until it glows. Apart from telephone, he also developed phonograph and kinetoscope. Next, the technology in the 19th century had brought a lot of changes in the 19th century. The invention that had been created had led to a faster communication like the telephone and telegraph. The technology also boosted the economic growth in the 19th century. For example, the textile machine has produced more textile that so more product can be commercial. Apart from that, the railway that had been created also improved the transportation from one place to another. Lastly, the work became more efficient as there are machines to replace the human energy. As we done with the technology in the 19th century, so now we are going to understand the industrialization in the 19th century. Industrialization is a process by which an economy is transformed from a primarily agricultural to on the manufacturing of goods. The characteristics of the industrialization are economic growth, more efficient division of labor, and uses of technological innovation to solve problems. Next, the factors of industrialization are the emergence of capitalism, which was introduced by Adam Smith, where it allowed entrepreneurs to establish business. The European imperialism in charge to bring the raw material for the industrial process. For the coal mining, it is due to the necessary to power the machinery of industrialization, and lastly is agricultural revolution that increased the food production. The timeline for the industrialization overlapped between the first and second industrial revolution. The early 19th century took part in the first industrial revolution, meanwhile the late 19th century took part in the second industrial revolution. The industrialization in the 19th century was categorized into two types, which are the heavy industrialization and the light industrialization. Heavy industrialization involves large and heavy machinery and facilities, and it also involves complex production process. For light industrialization, it involves less capital intensive than heavy industrialization. It is more to the consumer oriented than business oriented and usually produce smaller consumer goods. These are some examples for heavy industrialization in 19th century. Firstly, we have the steam locomotive, which was created by Richard Trevithick in 1802. It was used for railway transport until the middle of 20th century. The locomotive industrialization allowed people to ship goods and travel faster. Next is the steam hammer. The steam hammer was built by Smith in 1839. The steam hammer was used in the metalworking industry. It was used for shaping forgings and driving parts. Lastly, the heavy industrialization in the 19th century is the shipbuilding industry. In 1806, HMS Warrior ship was created by Thames Iron Works and Shipbuilding Company in Blackwall, London. This ship was powered by 40-gun steam armored frigate and was built for the Royal Navy. It also was used as a store ship and a depot ship. As for light industrialization in 19th century, we have the textile and cotton industry. A lot of inventions was created in the 19th century for the textile industry. For example, in 1801, Joseph Marie Jacquard has invented Jacquard method. This method allowed the addition of patterns to woven fabrics in a faster rate. Apart from that, the first synthetic aniline dyes was also created in the 19th century. Perkin created these dyes to replace the old plant and insect-derived natural dyes that have been used to color the fabric. Next example for the light industrialization in the 19th century is the cotton industry. Cotton was one of the world's first luxury commodities after the sugar and tobacco. In the mid-19th century, the cotton has been the America's leading export. The industrialization that happened in the 19th century, no matter is it heavy or light industrialization, have brought a lot of effect, whether it is a positive effect or negative effect. As for the positive effect, the industrialization have given the people new job opportunity due to the creation of the power machines and factory. The creation of the power machines and factory has also increased the production speed. By having invention like canals also allow people to be able to transport raw material with ease. The industrialization also will lead to the urbanization as there were movement of people in the cities. It is because some citizens wanted to live closer to their working place. Even though the industrialization had brought a lot of positive effect, it also indeed had brought a lot of negative effect. The industrialization will make the people to overcrowding the cities due to the urbanization. The large population of people also will lead to health problems as the cities were dirty and there were no sanitation in the cities. As the business in the factory started to expand, they also had caused the child labor. Child labor is an employment of children in an industry or a business, especially when they are illegal or considered exploitative. The factories hire children to work in their factories because they are small and they are easy to do work that requires small hands or body. They are also was separated from their family to work. Lastly is Luddite. Luddite is a secret or based organization of English textile workers in the 19th century. They destroyed the textile machinery as a form to protest, as they fear that the time that they spend on learning the skill and craft will go to waste as the machine replaces human role in the industry. Here we can see that even though the industrialization brought a lot of positive effect, it also brought harm to the people. In conclusion, science, technology, and industrialization have each of their contribution during the 19th century. These three aspects depend on each other as the discovery of science will lead to the invention of technology and lastly cause the industrialization. These are the references that I use for my presentation. I think that is all from me. Thank you.